West, y'all.
Was there a, you said it was about your passion, but is there kind of like something on the horizon through all of these podcasts, like in terms of ambition, growth, dreams?
It's a good question, because being like going off the flow, and just the flow's still going. You know what I mean? Like, go with the flow, and the flow's still going, and still enjoying it.
Yeah.
Like, it's gone to the point where getting people in to talk and me learning from them. Ever since the start, it's always been about learning off other people, learning what they're into and that. And I don't know what comes out of it. Like, I don't know what will come out of the conversation. But at least that's the main theme. And, that's what I enjoy.
Yeah.
And if anyone else out there enjoys it, so be it. Like, it's like no one out there is telling me to do this. I'm just doing it for me.
Yeah.
And that's why Isaiah was thinking. He had the same thoughts too.
Yeah.
Like for Isaiah, because he's the one that got me into it.
Right.
Yeah. So, because he's passed away now, but he was the main guy. I'm sort of like trying to take over. Like,
bro, I've told everybody, because not that I'm not, who am I, bro? But I have had people ask me, what's your favorite podcast you're on?
Yeah.
Bro, this is like first equal mandate, if not this one. Is to me, I love both, but this one, I just felt like there was way more intriguing questions. Questions that kind of caught me off guard. Usually, it's just real predictable almost. Like the questions around digital discipline, how'd you get into it? What's the current state of internet addiction? Tell us what's what do schools say? Like I said, we're just like, is there anything else? I love to go dive deep into stuff, and so when you and Isaiah were on, bro, like I was like, fuck, that's a good question, man. That's a really good question.
Yeah, I think because me and him, like, I know Isaiah has an idea of what a podcast should be, and I sort of understand that now, like, because our favorite, he got me into Joe Rogan, because he got me into it, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is different, this is not like radio, TV, and this is not like scripted kind of stuff. It's like having a chat.
Yeah.
And there's no like questions written down to ask. You just say whatever you want to say, like, just see what happens. Yeah. And I kind of figured that out, like listening to Joe Rogan a number of times, and I thought, oh yeah, but it is something different, and it's out there for people to listen to. And it's like a long form conversation. It's like an hour, 2 hours, because you can get to the bottom of stuff. You can talk about stuff and think as you're talking, and then come up with new things, and as you're having a conversation. When you're on TV and radio, like, you can't really ask you a question. That's it. Move on to the next question, like that. So I think when it comes to our podcast, it's based on that Joe Rogan sort of experience. Like, it's just freestyle. Like, we go in knowing we're talking to someone, like, we're interested in what they're doing, and we see what comes out of it. There's no sort of like agenda, like written out script or anything like that. So I think I like to think that that's why we are different. But I think it depends on the host too. Like, they need to be interested, but the host has to be genuinely interested in the guest. Like, go deep into whatever they're talking about. Because I hate it when I listen to other podcasts and they ask questions and interesting, but then they move on to the next question. And it's like, oh mate, wait, you missed something there. Like,
yeah, bro. Like, I agree, man. Like, I've never, established an actual podcast, but I know what you mean, because if you don't check all the corners of that particular comment or theme, you definitely miss an opportunity to dig a little bit deeper. Because I think whoever asks the question, when they hear the answer, that's subconsciously what they want to hear anyway, or what they predicted for most of the time. And then they've also almost cancelled out any opportunity to not even question, but just query as to why did you think like that, or what influence, and so like kind of have to excavate some of that stuff, because you peel back some of those layers, then that's when you find those gems, instead of, oh yeah, well, that was predictable, like I already knew that, hard work and dedication, like, okay, so like, was there anything else, or, was it some other desire behind something, or what we were watching as a 15-year-old to make you feel like, that's what you wanted to do,
Yeah, that's it, and it's like, it's obvious hard work, but where did that come from? It has to come from somewhere. Like, there's hard-working people, there's lazy people.
Yeah.
These people that were lazy before, and then they're hard workers. What changed? And they're like,
that's
like,
it.
what, did something happen? Like, how can I learn from that? That kind of thing. So, yeah, it's you can find them during the conversation, and that's why we love these long-form conversations, because you can find heaps of things, within 2 hours, But no, but with your journey, like, it all started when I first heard you on a podcast on Giovanni's. Don't you remember Giovanni? And that was ages ago. That's when you first started doing your digital discipline thing. I just found it interesting that here's someone guy that's into that IT space, kind of social media, just talking on things that are, against what everybody's doing, and concerned about the kids and the mind and all that kind of stuff, and distractions and all that. So it was interesting. And from there, that's why we got you on, our one, the first time. And then, from that, then you do your children's books. Oh man, this guy is like... But because when you first came to our podcast, like, just knowing the background of digital discipline, and you quitting your... Like, for me, the interesting thing about you was when you quit your job, and you had to go into this space that you had to get funded. You had to do all these workshops and that. So you're working for yourself, but doing things for the community as well. And there's government funding for that, especially for our people, and that, like, to get in sort of those spaces, because you were telling us you don't really get taught these things. You got to go out and find it yourself, and that, to me, that was like, like, you hear of all these organizations getting, just all these organizations just appearing, and you're wondering how they appear and all that. And I think you're an example of how these organizations come, and then you step up on the plate to get it done and that. And then up from that, then your children's books, and now this thing with the Savati board, So you're like real entrepreneurial, Like you're coming up with these ideas and expanding, because you can see the progression on all the podcasts you've been on, like from Gears 1 to now, going through these podcasts, and just anyone that follows your journey can look at these podcasts and see your growth, which is pretty cool, man. I love it. Do you pitch yourself, or do you think about this kind of stuff too? Or are you happy that you're on these podcasts, because now you can look back in the past and see where you're at, see your progression?
I don't think I've ever watched one of my podcasts in full. Like, sometimes I go back and think, like, why am I even on there, kind of thing, and sometimes it's just I'm just intrigued about the preparation, or the variety of questions, and I listen to a few podcasts here and there as well. But yeah, man, now and then I take time to reflect, and again, I'm not any sort of shining light or anything, but I have learned in these few chapters of my life to just remove my, for the most part, remove my emotions from my decisions, and then just give it a shot, because initially digital discipline I don't want to generalize, but for some people that's enough. That's enough of a project. That's enough of a piece of work that I need to focus on. But the cheap book series thing landed on my lap, and again thought about it for a second, and not too long, because man, I've run through so many ideas that kind of try to line up the ducks, and then lo and behold, someone else has done it, and just haven't jumped on those opportunities, so so that came about, and this whole Salai Boys thing, bro, I'm still figuring this one out too, Yeah, I don't quantify it by followers or numbers. It is a very interesting conversation. Um, there is a strategy behind it, and the deliberate nature around how we piece together some of our content and the frequency of it. And yeah, bro, that's just the new thing. So I'm probably at my limit with how many projects I can take. But yeah, man, I gotta give it up to God sees that probably I'm just a lot more willing. I'm not perfect. That's probably why he's probably happy with me. Just go, just do it anyway.
Yeah.
Sit there and just wait. So definitely not perfect, bro. And none of these things are perfect, but just trying to run with it.
Yeah. Man, so I want to assume that the Spy Boys project came out of the research on the children's book. Is that right, or is that something else? Something completely different?
Bro, something completely different, bro. And this is why, for those three things. And again, bro, like, I'm sure most people, whoever listens to this podcast, hopefully gets the gist that I'm not trying to, like, be a do-it-all dude, like, these are actual things that I'm passionate about. Almost my children, like, the Soy Boys is like my baby, so I give it more attention, as digital discipline's a little bit older, they can do things themselves. I got my sister, working full-time for digital discipline, and a couple other people that do sort of ad hoc stuff. But the Survey Boys thing, bro, like, we got time, eh? Because this is a bit of a story, this one.
Yeah.
I have a friend, Thomas Greentree. I think you know his brother Apple.
Yeah.
Thomas and Apple have been real into Samoan history, and there's probably a few others that I can't sort of remember off the top of my head, but I've had these conversations now and then, and I haven't always been that into it. It's always interesting when it's brought up, but I haven't gone and done research about it. But I did come across a piece that Tangata Pacifica did on star mounds, and that was in Waiko'omuli, which thankfully was the village over from where my dad's from, in Wa'ala. And so this was kind of around the COVID-19 time, maybe last spoke. It just wasn't something that was super interesting at that time, but just something that I thought, oh, that's interesting, man. Like, who made these star mound looking, or these clog looking things? And so I told my dad at that time, not that my dad at that time, well, dad at that particular point in time, that I said, have you heard about this stuff? Like, have you seen these star mounds or whatever it is? And he was like, oh, nah, don't know what that is. And so he was in Samoa, I think during COVID or just around that time, and I called him. I said, look, if you're ever out in the bush or in the Mamanga, just it seems like there's stuff there. Then I learned about the Pulimele, which is that big mound in Wailoa, which is the village on the other side of Waiko'omuli. So in Palauli, there's from Salealonga when you come, it's Wa'ala, Waiko'omuli, then Wailoa. And in Wailoa is where that Pulimele mound is. And so for me, I'm like, okay, so there's a mound there, there's a star mound in Waiko'omuli. What's in Wa'ala? Because it's all kind of, you can drive from one end to the other within about 5 minutes. So if there's a civilization back there, surely there's something in Wa'ala, like, gotta be. First time he was there, he's like, one of the, what the heck, you sitting on a bloody wild goose chase. And then he came and I showed him again and some other sort of stuff, and because I was getting like anxious, I was like, no, just have a look, next time you're there, have a look. Anyway, he calls me up while in Samoa, and I'm like, oh shit, this is the call. He's like, I was out there and there's this Bama, two of them, and they just run parallel, next to each other. And he said it goes out for like 50 meters, and he said he stopped because he didn't want to get too far ahead, And I was like, that's exactly what I was talking about. There's shit back there. There's a bloody like Atlantis back there, like. Anyway, bro, I made a point the next time I went, which was early this year. So this was like conversation we had, I think, back in the last year. It was in November last year. I went, and had a little look at what he was talking about. Bro, it was right there, man. Like, there's these rock fences, there's these raised platforms, and you can just tell these things are old. I don't want to say sort of how old they are because I'm not a geologist or anything, but you can tell that this is at least, I don't know, if I was to be real critical, this is at least 60 years old because it's like disturbed, but it's also, you can tell this thing is like has just been sitting there for ages. It's not something that has been done in the last 20, 30 years kind of thing. So to me, I was real intrigued. So anyway, bro, I contacted, I went back on that video clip. I saw that, I was like, surely they got names to these people because there was a running narrative on that clip. So I contacted Dion, contacted Greg as well. These are the people that work at NUS. And I said, hey, look, my old man has got a whole bunch of land back in Wa'ala. It just goes for ages and it's spread across, maybe 6 or 7 different areas. Would you guys be interested to come and have a look, just to have a little nosy and see what's out there? So yeah, bro, they agreed. Greg came over and I think we went over in April, May this year, bro. And so he came with another individual named Tia. He's real cool. He's I think he's an archaeological tutor. Was like a Samoan history tutor out of NUS. Greg was there. We were able to take my my uncles over as well, and that's just sort of to make sure that everything kind of protocol wise, and also what they remember from that land was part of the reason why they went. So yeah, man, that's yeah. I don't know if you have any questions up until then, but from then on is like the actual time we spent out there with Greg, bro. It was like buzzy as hell, man.
So Greg and Tia and those guys, they haven't been there before. They're the first time they've seen it.
I mean, these guys have been doing field work for ages, so it wasn't too surprising to them because they've been to certain sites over the years. But to us, the lens that my dad and my uncles had looked at this stuff was like almost a nuisance that they have to go all their stuff, like plant their stuff around, like to them it's just like a pile of rocks. But, when you have an archaeologist there who's like, yeah, this is probably 600 years old, this is probably a big kōranga whare, like a house foundation that used to be here. It's been a bit disturbed because of trees falling over or pigs, but this is definitely something that was from hundreds of years ago. And so to hear that, for them to connect the fact that they've worked this land, they've seen this stuff, but to qualify it as something intriguing was like, I could tell it was a challenge. Like, not that they didn't believe, but it's almost like it's been here under our nose the whole time, So it was even till now, it's still a challenge to think that this is such a great, such a cool thing to have on our land, all of this stuff, so yeah, bro.
See, the first thing that comes to my mind is that it must be predate Samoans. Because of, it's a Samoan village and they use it. What's this? Who cares? Just do this stuff on it. Like, it wasn't part of the culture or anything. Like, it wasn't any significant, like in the history of, of Samoans or from the village. If it's something that's there that they disregard, they build their plantation over it or something like that.
For my dad and his generation, and probably even my granddad, there probably wasn't any significance to those things, It probably just was just a pile of rocks or just a 250 metre long line of rocks, like, oh, this is just random, this thing just goes forever.
And it's in line with each other and just symmetrical and all that kind of stuff. Did you send a drone out to take a photo of the top?
We took a dude named Micah and his partner who do a lot of footage there. It was unfortunate that we are next to a village named Mauta, which is where the airport is, and apparently they have like flying restrictions for anything. But they do have this piece of technology called LiDAR. I know what it does, but what they've done, whether they survey it often or not, they just send a drone type thing. It just surveys the land, and they've got it for all of Samoa, so it picks up anything that's, I'm assuming, like half a metre above the ground that's rock or stone or whatever. So that's what we went off in terms of how or which pieces of our land we go to first, because he sent them this LiDAR report of Wa'ala, and bro, you look at it and it's just riddled with like fence lines, umutis, ulanga fales, and just the whole, you like see, you cuts right through everything that's on there already. And you're just like looking at this like Indiana Jones map, hey, like, because it's not stuff that you can visibly see. You can when you're up close and you like cut a bit of bush and you're like, oh damn, that's like almost up to my hip, this fence line, you know. But if you're 50 meters back, all you see is bush. But yeah, that LiDAR thing was able to provide a good little base for us to decide which places we should go to and explore.
Oh, so it's like CAD. It comes on the computer and you can see plan view of it. Is it in 3D as well on the computer? Like you can see the contours and stuff like that?
I think by the shading of it, you can make out that something is quite high up or something is kind of low. It's just measured on the shading of it. But I don't think, well, I haven't seen a 3D type version of that LiDAR technology yet.
So did you actually map out the stones in that? The long stone thing?
Well, that LiDAR thing is supposed to pick up everything, right? And for the most part it does, until there's a certain density of the bush. Before it like can't read into that. And like that's the stuff I was like, I want to go there because your technology can't pick up what's under that shrubbery or underneath these dense trees, I guess.
So did you go?
Yeah, but it's such a big piece of land, bro. Like, and it's not. I'm not saying that it's like every square 5 meters there's something, but you have to like just walk along and just see it there, like, and then you're like, okay, this is a pathway actually, and then it kind of gets lost, and then you see something intriguing, and it's like, okay, that was probably a smaller whare, you know, because of the length or the dimensions of the edges of this kōranga whare type thing. And so, yeah, bro, for us, can't really like. I guess we don't have the funds or the knowledge anyway to document what's inside those places on that LiDAR thing where it's dense bush. But bro, this is just going to be a lifetime thing, bro. Find out what's out there. You know?
Yeah. It's like the you know in Auckland in Iwimata, the stone. You've been up there, ain't you?
Yep.
How they've got the stone things out there. Is it similar to that kind of?
I've been there, but I can't remember what you're talking about. But is it something that's kind of pre-European?
Yeah, it is, and it came about because you know how they had the protests out there, the protests at Iwimata, and because that's when I first learned about these stone. I don't know what they were. They're like stone walls they used or something. It was pre-European. So. I was wondering if it's the same sort of thing. If you go have a look, I think you can see online what they are.
Yeah, I mean, bro, it's interesting, man, because and again, bro, like I gotta preempt that I'm not like, you know, a registered historian, you know, or like I've always said, bro, this is just one of those passion projects, and I'm at the very first step still of understanding all of the stuff. It's just the accumulation of either what I've read or things I've discussed with, you know, the likes of these experts. But bro, it's absolutely intriguing, you know, because some of the conversation now, or maybe it's just the algorithms on my social media is always around like Polynesian history, you know, did they come from Taiwan and, you know, that kind of Southeast Asia one, and then other people saying, you know, nah, actually, you know, there was probably a South American influence to that because of the whole Kumara thing, you know. And so you have a mixture of or variations of like what the strongest theories are. And people will go on debate, all day about that stuff, but I just think what I can kind of control in my own little section of Samoa, I can at least explore that. And whether it contributes to the bigger picture of understanding, where we came from, then great. Sort of provide some footage or insight into, adding to that discussion, because I think half the people having those discussions haven't set foot in Samoa for, since they were 7 years old. So, you've got to be there to, like, tap into that spirituality of it, because I'm a big believer that, Samoa is its own living being, bro. Like, that's how I see it. I get emotional being in Savai, driving off, bro. I have to hold back tears being there, because it wasn't always the case, but maybe she thought, I'm glad that you're coming back more frequently, the rest of you guys from New Zealand don't actually come back, and so I feel real connected there, Like Samoa, it's not up to where it should be, but again, like I said at the beginning, bro, I'm just willing to find out, willing to learn, and put myself in a position to maybe even help other people, further the stuff that I'm intrigued about,
I know you said you're not a historian and all that, but someone like you that has this interest and just following up on it, like going over there and looking at it and getting the university guys to come over with you, and you're someone that has that interest, and I think that's what I was just thinking when you just said I'm not a historian, but you are in a way, because it's the heart of the story. You want to learn, you want to know, and that connection to the motherland, just like me, man, because I love Samoa, and I love it because there's something powerful about having a home away from home. Like I wasn't born there, I was born here. My parents were born there, but it's always been home for some reason. But I never grew up there. I went back when I was 20. I've been going back and forth ever since. But it's that connection, that home away from home connection. We all say it's the motherland. When saw some more players, we were all there at the parades and all that kind of stuff. So it's powerful, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you said that, because I don't know, man. Like, I do feel like this might sound kind of I think we talked a little bit about just saying things that people are too scared to say, but again, I'm not trying to be whatever, but I actually think in the next dare I say, like the next generation, it isn't home, it is a holiday destination. A lot of us that I see, we go there to go to Tomesina and Tānoa and whatever else, and to me, yes, you're in Samoa, but you're getting a Samoan experience. Are you walking in the village that your granddad did, was it those like, do I stop by because I'm gonna leave $500 here, so do I just like drive really quickly and turn my head, or or do I just go for a kawhao, like am I there to connect, or am I there just to say that I went to Samoa? So I'm not trying to question anybody's like desire to go back to Samoa, but is it a holiday destination or is it home? Because if you see it as home, then you should do what you do when you get home, like you gotta go home. You can't go home and then go to a hotel, and so I'm not trying to question anybody's, who am I? I'm not Samoan, qualified police, who deem who's Samoan or not, but I do, I am concerned about our children and how frequent they're going and what connections they have, because it might turn into a holiday destination to them if we're not connecting them. So if we're just barely hanging on, because we live in diaspora, that's challenging in itself, but we have to think 2 or 3 generations. My grandchildren, do they have an actual connection back there, or do they just buy the $20 Chinese t-shirt that says Tō Samoa on it, which actually doesn't contribute to Samoa? It helps the Chinese economy. It doesn't help Samoa, neither does the flag either. So everything that we're spending to qualify as Samoan in the parade, none of that money's going to Samoa, but we qualified on Instagram, right? Because 685, whatever it is to the bone or whatever. But is it really? Like, and again, I'm not the who Samoan police, but sometimes this is where the social media thing comes in. Like, are we really doing it for the culture? Because has there been $1 out of your Westpac account that's gone to help either your family or the economy in Samoa or a project or whatever it is like? And so it's questions that I don't think people want to ask themselves. And again, who am I? But this is where I am in my journey. I really want to make sure that that when we're talking about being Samoan or talking about the culture, it's definitely a very definition of what that means to different people, because for the culture means holding a flag with I don't know, a celebrity, and then that's for the culture. But does that actually shift the needle in Samoa, or does it just make you feel like you're contributing by just having a $10 flag that was made in China kind of thing? So I know it's kind of gone way off what you were saying. But
no, that's not way off, because I know it's not way off, because that's the content in the Savai'i boys. The stories of Samoa. Like when I flick through those videos you got up, and hearing those little stories, different stories of different villages, like the man who had 99 wives and died before he got his 100th wife. Yeah, stories like that. It's like, damn, where's this? Like, I never heard that story, but you're bringing them up because I think it's that we need to be connected somehow, and these stories that we haven't heard of, we need to know these stories. So that's a way of you trying to get people to connect back to our roots, telling through storytelling.
Yeah, man, it's such a niche project because it's not Samoa. It is Samoa, but it's Savai'i. And I almost want to bring a revival back to Savai'i, because
well, Savai'i is the purest form of Samoa to me.
Yeah.
You know the difference between Apia and good Savai'i. Savai'i is more cleaner. It's more it's just nice to get away from. It's like you're getting away from the big smoke,
Yeah.
the hustle bustle of town, and going to Savai'i and just relaxing. Because when you messaged me when I was there, that's all I was doing, man. Just relaxing for 2 days when I was there for 2 days. Yeah, or back to Apia, but yeah, it's I think in context of Savai'i being like I said, the purest form of the culture, Samoan culture, it hasn't been. It has been westernized, but it's not like Apia.
Yeah, bro. Again, bro, I come with a real beginner lens to it. I've been fortunate to go back a couple of times already this year, and each time I go back, again, I feel privileged. I thank God that I get an opportunity to go there a couple of times. But like you said, man, I've always heard, my mom's from Moka, which is right next to Apia, and then my dad's from Savai'i, and not them in particular, but they're one example of many that I've heard, that there's always this attitude that, you're from Savai'i, like, it's almost like the hood, you wouldn't know, you're from Savai'i, So for me, even though I didn't grow up there or live there, I want to bring some mana back to being from Savai'i, that's why it's not named a particularly general Samoan page, but even back to the content again, this is just me running gun in terms of strategy. I think most of the content, and again, it's very good, the stuff that's out there. But I feel like it's always the same. It's talking about the Mau movement, the shooting that happened. They're talking about the influenza. Then they're talking about the 1962, we got independence, and there's probably like 5 or 6 stories that just keep circulating, through what we already know. So for me, I was like, what are the other stories that we can, add on top of the ones that kind of get recycled through mainstream media? We're just hearing the same thing, It can't just be that, but I also feel like there's an appetite for it, but we're also starved of good quality content about Samoa. So the 99 wives thing, that's the first time I heard it too. Like, I didn't go there to validate a story I already knew. I didn't know that. We're just fortunate to have a family take us around Manono. And there's so much stories from there. I mean, I'm not sure if you saw the other one, but there's a village there called Apai, which is, in reference to Ha'apai in Tonga, and all of the people there that have been there for generations have connections to the Tongans that settled that area of Manono. Manono seems to be a bit of a powerhouse in terms of Samoan history, and it's just intriguing because it's not on one of the big islands, but it seemed to be a place where a lot of action happened, And I think we would think about these things from a real Western point of view. Why wouldn't you just have that important stuff on a bigger island? But I don't think that's how they thought, because if you think about sort of the other beginnings of Samoa in the Manua Islands, those aren't anywhere near as big as Savaii or Polu, but that seems to be the place where I guess Samoa was born in some of these sort of oral histories. And so it's real interesting to kind of, I can't even fathom sometimes what they were thinking back then. Goes back to the point of some of the stuff we're finding. Bro, this is not near the coast. This is like up inland. Like if I kind of like guesstimate how far this stuff is from like the actual water, it's got to be at least 2 k's. Right. And I know that there's stuff further than that. So this is a discussion I have often with with Thomas and others. Is like, why were they living so far inland? And I think the story goes is when the Germans, whoever, decided where the Awala was, or the road, the people gravitated towards there because that's where the drop off produce and just the normal kind of everyday living stuff. So that's why some theories they moved away from these kind of communities that are further up and come closer to the road, because I don't think that's where the majority of people lived. I think they lived further up.
That makes sense, because when you think of colonization and the Europeans coming from overseas, well, they need a port. So whatever port, well, they come in ships. No one was going in ships before they came, right? Everyone was living where they lived, like coastal water to fish, or inland for the plantation, or something like that.
Yeah.
So it makes sense for Apia to be Apia, got colonized, because all the ports there, the ships come in, the Balinese come and build their shops and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Fine.
Probably just to add on top of some of the stuff that's back there, like we've been trying to. Well, the bigger play behind this is there's a bit of a this thing for my family that are there, and some of the oldies here that want to move back is hopefully we can turn it into something where we're able to showcase and present these sites to the general public in form of a possible tour. Not sure how that works with me kind of driving this thing. I know what it looks like. I know what the end looks like. I just there's a couple of steps that need to happen before that, and so God willing, I'll be there in a couple of weeks this month in November, and just kind of reassess what this looks like. If there is a possible tour we can pull off soon, then it's kind of like, what's the route? What's the coolest things that we can see in this particular site, and do we just do it here, or there's another cool thing down the road as well? And it's just kind of figuring what that looks like, because I just don't think there's a tour like that there, and I don't think that I just don't think there's enough of these opportunities to go out into the bush. If you ask half the people that went to Tomesina, like, have you walked out in the actual mangmang? Have you actually, gone in or gored anything? Like, the answer's probably no. And it's not that that's bad on them. It's just, hopefully we build an experience where you're able to do that. Because we've always heard the stories of our grandparents, walking for 45 minutes just to get there, and then they toiled the land since like 4:30 in the morning or 5. And it goes back to some of those, even the old cliche things that we say now about us being navigators and navigating the sea.
That was ages ago.
I get it. I get why we're saying that, and it's true. But to me, it's like, how do you qualify your you saying that, and its difficulty level? I've never been out on a sailing ship, and I even just a Balangi one. Like, I haven't been out on one. I've been on one of those little boats, but you're not having to pull anything, any pulleys or wind anything up. So to me, it's not to shit on anybody that says that, but I can't say, our ancestors are so great because they navigate. Because I don't know what it's like to navigate the seas. So I wouldn't know what that experience is like in order for me to say it. But I probably do know how to talk about what it's like to, toil in the land from my few hours that I've spent there a few times, because at least that's something, I've been able to bust my ass in the morning and sweat like nothing, at least I can speak into that. But sometimes I think generally we just blurt out these things that kind of sound cool, but you have to think is that an experience that that you have personally, or is it just stuff we just recycle because it makes us sound cool or something like?
So jump on a bandwagon.
Yeah,
because you said this before in the first podcast, and it was something that Isaiah spoke to me about after he left. He said, "Man, Tony's the man." What, man? When he said about the navigating, man, that's it. Blah blah blah. Man, he's the man. He's right. He's right, and he was so impressed with what he said, because we do get off of those comments, and we do blast on social media. Oh, we never get it. So what? We never get it, And I was like, yeah. And what does that mean?
Well, I heard it during, I caught just a snip. I watched nothing for politics, so I didn't even vote, bro. But I did hear someone say that when I was at my mum's, and I was like, I think it was like a youth one, and I was like, I get it, but then I don't, because what does that actually mean?
Yeah. Now,
today
for us.
So dare I say, even the dawn raid stuff, I know it's true, but if you don't have an auntie or a granddad that went through it, how do you feel comfortable talking about that experience? Because maybe if you're just trying to explain it, but to attach yourself to their oppression and make your story sound oppressive too, when you went to, I don't know, St. Ken's or something, or whatever school.
I think I know what it means. It's like Italians. If I was Italian and said, "You know what? We invented the cappuccino. We invented espresso."
Yeah.
It's like me saying that now, when obviously it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
That's already amazing.
Yeah, bro. It's a bit of a mental shift, and again, who am I? I run my own race, bro. So, but sometimes I don't think we sit there and really think about what we're saying, and if it fits the context. Because I think there's a lot of buzzwords that people say, or we say, that kind of makes it feel like, oh yeah, nah, they're a true islander, because they mention the dawn raids, or they mention navigating the sea. Yeah, that person's really Pacifica. They're really for us, Possibly, but is there anything else like that? Is there any living experiences that because if you've been to Samoa, we're trying to do, if you've been to Savai, if you've been to the schools, if you've, even better, if you've contributed to the schools, or if you're living in the village and you can understand and appreciate the actual struggles, then yeah, man, I think you'd come back and not be saying that, because there's so many other examples you can give to our struggle, instead of just saying that, because of the, New Zealand administration or the German administration, this is how we are. Yes, but bro, there's living examples right now, that we can draw from, instead of just kind of copying everybody else's, speech around navigating the sea or whatever, so.
And they always say that, and they always say that when they go against something the Balangi say, or outsiders say. The outsiders do something, we react and we say that we come back with that story. We never get to see, when I think of it, like for me anyway, when it comes to thinking about okay, what makes us survive, I always think of our value, like survive, especially Samoan values, like how we grew up, like it's always going to be comparing us to the Bali, right? I always have that. So there's a big divide there because they don't look like us. They don't know what collective, living as a collective means. They don't have the second cousin, third cousin that's close to like your brother and sister. They don't have that concept. We do. We live in a village mentality. So that's a big, massive deal when it comes to differences between Balinese and us. And you can't just say, oh, they're just Balinese, we're just Samoan. Nah, because it's deeper than that. It's deeper than that. It goes back generations. It's a totally different way of living, and no one. If you want to unpack all that and try to sort it out, no one's doing that. They're always going to the surface stuff, which doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? Like the surface stuff can be the navigating the sea. The Balinese can we got generational wealth. We don't understand what that is. They don't understand what navigating the sea is because they fly planes and we fly planes and all that. We don't need to navigate anything.
But the thing to that is, they don't understand it. But like the question is, do we understand how to navigate? Because then that's the question. Like, so why use it?
The question is, why are we going back to those surface things, like the obvious kind of history things, when there's more to it than that? Like, if you start unpacking what's real, the differences between Balinese and us. Do they want to understand? No, I don't think they do. They don't care. But we care because it's us, and we try to understand why, we're pushed back or oppressed or whatever it is, or why we're not striving in the Western world, because we're not from the Western world.
Well, I mean, you're absolutely right. I got nothing, nothing to counter that, bro. That's all very like down the line true, eh? Bro, my question usually is, and maybe I'll ask you, is like, I understand there's an obvious space and difference with how you start and what you've grown up on, and it might be financial, it might be knowledge, that are the deficits. But to me, man, like when do we stop using them as a scapegoat? As using Balinese as a scapegoat for our demise, or the reason why we can't be as successful as them. Yeah, I understand, man. We got less cards than them. But for some of us, we've grown up here. We've been in the same classroom, same schools, and all of that. I almost feel like some of our young islander white people continue to use the dawn raids as an excuse to being oppressed. And so it's one of those psychological things. I can't put my finger on it as to an explanation, but it's one of those ones where if you're looking for it, you'll find it, kind of thing. And what I mean by that is, like, for example, got to be a month ago, I was driving from, from, where do we go? Whakatane for one of my son's rugby league comps, and dude cut me off. As Samoan, bro, it's like there's only a couple forms of absolute disrespect, and that's one of them. And you fired the Fast and Furious Dom in me, and trying to catch up. But anyway, we ended up catching up, and it was a white dude. Now I looked at him, and not once did I think, fuck, he done that because he's racist. Racist, I never even thought he could be purple, or Chinese, or I would never have thought. I didn't think that it was like he cut me off because he's white. But there's a section of our community that will look at it and be like, bro, fucking, I knew it. They're racist, man. They cut me off because I'm brown. So that's what I mean. If you're looking for it, you'll find it. Because anything and everything. It's just like another example. If I was Shione is late to work, twice this week, 5 minutes late, then 10 minutes late, and boss says, come on, man, we start at 8:30. Next week, he's sick, and then the following day, he's late half an hour. So sorry, boss, traffic. And then let's say the next day, or next week, he's late, and then the boss has had enough. Come on, Shawnee, you're bloody late all the time. And then Shawnee goes on Instagram, sorry, man, I've experienced racism, you know. so Sione or Kiunga, whatever your name is, it's not fucking racist. It's not racism. You're just fucking late, you know. And I'm not downing our people, but if you're looking for it, given all the kind of bloody stupid woke stuff that we're consuming, you look for it, you find it, bro. They give you a little side look. Yeah, go on Instagram. Yeah, I had a Karen experience today, you know. She gave me a dirty look, and I don't know if it was because I was, you know, my hair was done a certain way, but yeah, definitely experienced racism today. No, it's not racist. She's just having a bad day. She looked at you and she probably didn't want to look at anybody, you know. You could have been a bloody alien. She would have given you the same look, you know.
Is that same as unconscious bias? It's kind of it.
Much what it is, yeah.
It's like default.
Yeah, it's the default. And that's why I worry about our young people, man. Like, with all this oppressive talk, I understand that there is systemic racism. There is oppressive type decisions that some companies make. But, so like, how long do we keep talking about it? Because we keep barking up the same tree and nothing really changes. And that's why when anybody, you know, there are very few people, I'm not saying hundreds of people, but the few people that ask me about sort of career decisions, I'm like, bro, if that's how you're feeling about your industry, get the hell out of there and start your own thing. Because at least you don't have to have these conversations at the water cooler during, you know, lunchtime about how Jane, your supervisor, was racist, you know, like, bro, I get it. Like, I get that there is some kind of unconscious bias, you know. Maybe they might favour Brent over, you know, Ioane, you know. But wouldn't you, if you owned your own company, don't tell me you're going to pick Brent over Ioane. You're going to, I'm going to bring my people up, you know. Yeah. So the thing that we complain about is the thing that we'll probably do anyway, you know. So, again, don't come for me and think that I'm like anti-Polynesian, but we gotta reassess some of what we think and what we say, you know, and just really be honest with ourselves to see, is what I'm thinking and what I'm saying to drive this like anti whatever it is, or am I like being true to myself and knowing that I'm just bullshitting myself, I'm just on the bandwagon of, you know, this racial divide or whatever, because, you know, this mob mentality when it comes to that stuff, bro, it's hard to talk about or give them a different perspective, you know.
Yeah. Man, you know what you were just talking about? This one circles back to digital discipline. Because when you talk about the kids, why they like that, maybe too many things on social media, they see, you know, all the racist kind of stuff, and just gets drilled in your head. You know, for me, like, when I think of the divide between Balinese and us, like, I know there's all those things I said. I think it's the lack of Balinese trying to understand us, because they don't need to, you know, and it's because, when I mentioned the generational wealth thing, I think that's what the Western world values. They value progress in front of everything, even in front of family, their own family, which is like strange to us, you know. We always have to help the family. Well, they just help themselves and move on, move on. So that's a concept that we don't understand, and that's that difference of not understanding. But it doesn't mean they're racist. It just means that we don't understand, like in that way, on that level. You know what I mean? So I think the translations gets mixed up a lot. It's not because they're racist, it's because they have different values. Yeah. And I think as soon as we can understand both values and care about the values and understand what's going on, then we can start from there to make things better.
Yeah. I mean, look, you're right, bro. They're very individualistic. I don't know if that's the right word. Yeah. And we're very collective. Yeah. And sometimes doing the collective is great. You know, I'd love the idea of doing it that way, but I think they know that sometimes doing the collective means you have to ask more than outside of yourself, and that just slows their progress, you know. Yeah. So they just gun for it. I honestly think that whether it happens in our generation or not, but I actually think if both groups understand each other, or one group understands how the other group thinks, then that's a powerful sort of marriage. Maybe an example of that is, you know, business for the most part, and this is just subjective to my own experiences. I'm not trying to be like generalize and put everybody in this basket. But to me, Islanders, bro, we're top notch when it comes to delivering the service or creating the product. So let's say, for example, most times that I taste a baifala or a cupcake that our people have made, bro, it's always pretty good. The other side of business is your back office, which is your accounting, your strategy, your business plan, all the sort of the growth mindset and all of that. That usually isn't something that we grew up with because we're just used to producing the product or service. This side, though, is the stuff that Balangi people are good at because they grew up on it. Are they particularly better than us at producing the product or service? Probably not. If you think about facilitators, bro, it's like we're one of the best, if not the best facilitators, speakers, people that engage, So in terms of the service, bro, like there's not many people that can fault us in terms of that. But on the flip side, you might get a Balangi facilitator who's not that great, but if he's got his account straight, he knows what he's doing, he knows how to network, he knows how to shake hands, he knows how to send emails, he's got everything automated and systemized, then he'll last longer because everything's set in concrete, strategically. Whereas we're probably better at delivering a keynote speech or engaging and all of that sort of stuff, but we don't really have the back office stuff sorted. So for me, it's like if once we learn that and understand it and can execute on that, bro, we're unstoppable, man. Because we've learned that it's not even about anything. It's just the thing that we haven't grown up with. When you talk about generational wealth, that doesn't usually mean monetary. That usually means just like your the knowledge base that you have, the wisdom, the construction of your family, the makeup of your family, and the experiences of your family. That's why it's quite difficult for the likes of ourselves, myself, and a few others who are in business because we don't grow up around a parent or an uncle or auntie that was running a business. So we're starting from scratch, bro. Like even now, like 3 and a bit years in, we're still fucking up our zero. Like we're still sending these invoices that are automated. They still go out even though they paid it like 3 months ago, and you're like, oh shit, we already paid that. And I'm like, oh sorry man. Like, so we're still figuring it out. But for others that are half a step back, they don't even want to do zero. It's just too foreign. They don't want to get one of those portable FPOS machines so they can sell their barbecue outside. Nah, straight cash, They don't want to do that because we just didn't grow up around it, man, and it's a little bit too complicated to figure out where to get that information or where to get those resources to help enhance what we're trying to do, So, yeah, it was...
Because I think the main pathway for us business owners to get into business is being good at our jobs and then starting our own job, doing that same job, starting our own business on doing that same job. And then, I don't know, that's the typical pathway for any sort of small business to start. So when you talk about us doing the service part of it, us being real good at it, I think of salespeople, perfect example of that. But how many islanders are salespeople?
Yeah, right.
And that must be, when I think about those spaces, those jobs that earn a lot of money, there's got to be heaps out there when it comes to service. People. Because we're people. Yeah.
Bro, it's us and Filipinos, bro. Like, especially with the people thing, you look at hospitality, you look at jobs at the airport, the people-facing ones, bro. Like, overall, I think we've got the most approachable faces, because we've had to, not me, but I've seen, my sisters and girl cousins do the ipuki, you got to do it with so much love and respect, because you almost have to have a default smile on your face because you walk in front of an uncle auntie and give their ipuki and their masis and you're not looking like you're smiling, you're like, oh, is everything okay over here in your house? Or...
And it's that experience the Palangis are like amazed at, hey?
Yeah.
Because they don't,
Absolutely, bro.
Our power of service, because we are brought up like that,
But, bro, I do want to mention too that there needs to be an evolution of that mindset too, because yes, you're right, we are definitely service people. We serve with any kind of expectation most times. We just go out of our way to do it. And I absolutely love that, and I never will I say to stop doing that. But what that also means is, I've had one or two conversations like this in the last maybe year, and it's not as frequent. I'm not saying that I talk to heaps of people, but that's also the demise as well, because they don't want to leave the employer because they feel like the employers treated them so well, even though they could start their own electrical company or plumbing company. They felt like, this loyalty thing, and I'm not questioning whether that's good or not, but for me, your loyalty should lie to your family and giving you putting your family in the best kind of possible place. And if that means leaving this loyalty thing, that you're staying there for your boss, then so be it. But sometimes I think we put our loyalty to, and I don't want to call it a white man because sometimes it's not, but we give our loyalty to the man than to our ambitions and our dreams and our purpose in life, And we've just been accustomed to jumping on a hamster wheel because that's easier than trying to figure out my shit, trying to figure out, okay, God, what do you want me to do, man? Like, I know I've been feeling impressed to leave because, I know all the tools of the trade, but, then it becomes another question around confidence is usually the thing that is our barrier. It's never the service or the product. Then it's what's our self-talk like? Are we scared to fail or not? And so, yeah, bro, there's these layers that we have to jump through that Balinese don't, because Balinese don't care if they fail or not. They just go for it, They're used to seeing their dad fail at this business, and now they're millionaires. But that's because they've been in and around that environment. Us, man, like, because we're so critical of ourselves and then our own people, like, I feel like that's why we don't get into business, because, like, we almost feel like whatever I start has got to, like, be there forever and make $1 million in a couple of years kind of thing. When that's not the truth, bro. Like, yeah, well, I've started stuff and just fizzled out and didn't work, bro. So
that's one thing I was impressed with when your first appearance on the podcast. When you were talking about, the challenge of leaving your job and doing the digital stuff, like going in like blind there. Like you prepared yourself there. You had 6 months to prepare. You had that window of 6 months. And you said it was scary. It was scary, and just listening to you, story, I'm just thinking about me quitting my job, doing something. That's scary, man. Like, man, jumping in the deep end. But you hear a lot of stories of people doing that and succeeding. And I've had people on podcasts talk about that too. Like they have done the same thing, and it's like just gotta believe in yourself, or just it's like you're drowning in human instinct. You gotta survive, so you gotta do it, like, no matter what. It's just like if you got something to fall back on, then it's easy to not do it. Yeah.
Bro, one of my good friends, Henry Taifel, he's at Moana Pacifica.
You could come to work for you.
Yeah, he was our digital discipline ambassador. Even that experience was cool, man. Like for him to be part of digital discipline and be able to come to some workshops and talk about his experience as a professional athlete and as a father, bro. Like I've been very deliberate around like making sure our people get opportunities, and I think he was just one of a few out of Moana that had like, this is an endorsement, we're not trying to sell anything, but to be an ambassador for something, I think he was probably one out of maybe all of them. And I'm not trying to shine the light on me, but I think it's more like when you do get into business or have an opportunity to run your own ship, then you get to do the things that you always wished would happen in the organisation that you used to work for. Because sometimes I'll think about the questions I would ask at different jobs, like, how come we don't have an islander here? Or it'd be nice if we had an islander here, because they would just be a bit more accustomed to the clients that we're looking at. But so when you do get into business, you can make those decisions. You can pick who you want, to be on the team, kind of thing. So but back to Henry, and what we were talking about before in terms of like maybe the hesitation around business is as him as a professional athlete, he told me that pressure is a privilege, like, and changing that mindset around you want to be that guy. It's that guy that takes the clutch shot, because when you look at the Lakers, you only know LeBron's gonna get, if they're 1 point down, there's no one, like 9 times out of 10 it's him. He's gonna get the ball, and so that's kind of the mentality that I think we should have. Like to thrive off the challenge, the chips are down kind of mentality, like just bloody like that. It's not a lottery, but you want to build your risk tolerance through doing that first half step forward, because to me, I think we only talked about digital discipline and maybe the books, and so you also talked about preparation, and something I learned this week actually is that we should actually transition more into being more prepared than having potential, because so much of us have potential and talk about our potential or talk about other people's potential, but we're not prepared, and so in saying that, bro, like that's a big mental those are mental hurdles that everybody has to go through if this is the path that is set for them, bro. So
how do you prepare? You got potential. You prepare by just learning the craft. Is that preparation?
Yeah, well,
continue to learn the craft. I
think preparation is a lot of mental and emotional. It's answering the questions where, for example, am I going to be okay that mum and dad might not be happy with this? And if once you decide that you're going to be okay, that they won't be okay for the next couple months, because you're just going to have to prove them wrong, not in a negative way, but to prove that you can do this, then that, for me, that shifts your potential into being prepared. Now you're prepared to do it, because that little hurdle, done deal. I'm set on that. Right. I've decided that this is what I'm going to do. Around the financial thing that I said, the potential was, I could leave or I could stay. I had a potential to do it, but once I decided, I'm going to jump ship, even though I got 6 months worth of savings, I'm going to decide that this is what I'm going to do. So that shifts it from potential and kind of sitting on the fence to I'm prepared now. So those are the kind of mechanical things that we have to decide on in terms of preparation. And again, bro, like we're producing the product or delivering the service is always going to be the easiest part. You do work on it, but it's the other mental, cultural, spiritual hurdles that I think are the ones that we don't address. Because I've been in my previous job, I've come across electricians and plumbers, islanders who are the best in their business, but can they leave? Not sure. Those are those things that, do they have the potential to? Yeah. Are they prepared? Not sure. Probably not. And so that's what I was kind of referring to, between the difference between both, because it's just like selecting a team. I don't know. I haven't been a seasoned coach, but you pick people off potential. But how long do you keep picking them off potential when they're not delivering on the potential? You got to pick someone that's prepared already, and that's what I mean. Potential's alright, but when does that run out? Until you're like, nah, bro, you've been talking about it for the last 3 games, man. It's just bloody butterfingers, you got all the potential, and we hear it all the time. You got all the potential in the world, but when does the dial shift to being prepared? And it's, for me, it's just a lot of mental and emotional that needs to shift than the actual doing of it.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, I had lunch with some colleagues the other day, and we were just on K Road, sitting down eating, and then we were talking about the new government, right? Yeah. And because it's national's all about small business, open business, and all that, business oriented. They're all about the economy and all that kind of stuff. So, and I was just saying, the past 4 or 5 years, hasn't been good for business. COVID's been a big part of it, and a lot of setbacks there. And I think with all these, and we're just talking about, because we're at this new sandwich shop that's on K Road, and I was just thinking about this new sandwich shop and nice sandwiches, and I was thinking, see, is this shop going to be a franchise? That's the growth of this business. you see any, because there's been an explosion of hamburger joints around the place, right? Like small hamburger joints, like smash burgers. This is the latest thing in Auckland, right? So when you see these small burger places pop up, like what's their growth going to be? Some more of their same stores? Once you see that around, you know that something good is happening in the economy. You know, when you see stores shut down, no, so something's not right. You know, so for me, I think when I think about this new government, okay, are they going to say what they're going to say and do good for business? And then I want to see all these franchises pop up everywhere now because business is good, you know, economy is good. You know, that's my indicator. You know, and then when that happens, I'm like, okay, maybe it's time for, you know, someone to start something. You know, it's going to be good. You know, I think the biggest complaint when I was hearing the radio and watching the news about during the elections was no one was moving anywhere. Like you can't grow. No one was going anywhere. Everyone was like on a standstill sort of thing. You know, and I was just thinking about you and digital discipline. Like how's the growth been for you guys? Like from when you first started, because I think you were just new when you guys came on the podcast. Not when you first started. But now you've got so you got no time for that anymore. You're doing that stuff, so it must be.
Oh, bro, like
Must be on the way now. I've got a different branch here.
bro, again, I've gotta give credit to God, bro. Like, absolutely, would not be here if if He didn't give me a chance. Like, I'm a bit stubborn with the willingness. You know, most times I don't even know what I'm doing. You know, it just you step forward, the fog clears a little bit. You step forward, you know, and so that's how I've kind of approached it. Yeah, I definitely have time for it, but you know, I have to fit in these other things as well. In time, I would usually, you know, be relaxing or whatever. Yeah, like I said, my sister's working full time. That's been real helpful. You know, she takes 40 hours of work that usually I would struggle through. You know, so it's allowed me to be in other certain areas of the business around strategic thinking, around partnerships. Like this year, we've been able to drive 5 pieces of research. We've known that in this, you could call it a game, that you got to earn your stripes with research, because anybody can get up and tell a cool story. But for some of our society, or there's sections of our society that want more than that. They want to see a bar graph, you know. They want to see APA reference something, you know, because the story doesn't cut it, you know. Even though for us, you know, I can be motivated and I can be influenced by a story alone about how someone's changed their life, or talking about raising awareness about something and then providing a solution. I'm good with that. But there's others, and yeah, there's not a negative, and it's not that these differences make anybody less. But for some people, they want to see that you've done your research. You know, have you talked to a sample size of 60 people, and have you conducted these kind of variations of questions, so that at least I can qualify what you're talking about, because your story sounds great, but I need something more than that. And so we've bunkered down on that this year and made sure that you know, we got our own independent research to back what we're saying, so that if anybody, you know, it isn't the main reason, but if anybody comes to us and says, yeah, that sounds all good, but where did you get that from? And then we can just pull our research out and say, look, this is what we've been able to do. We're partnered with One Research. We've, you know, spoken to X amount of students, X amount of principals. We've done all of this with these rugby unions as well. We've gathered all our feedback and done our due diligence for this season, and so you can't knock us on anything because we've done our research, you know. So in terms of progression, there probably hasn't been as many workshops the last 6 months than than maybe last year, but we're just getting ready for a big year next year where, you know, this is our armor really, is our research, so that when we do move into corporate spaces or spaces where the storytelling is half of what you should be bringing, then bro, at least we got the rest, you know. Because for the first maybe year, It was just off the back of my own lived experience and collating what people say during these workshops. But this is the stuff that again, there's many other examples of islanders that do this, in business. I'm not the only one. I'm not pioneering anything, but I do know that this is kind of where it gets a little bit tough, to really find this extra bow in our arsenal, because sometimes we are just going off and doing consulting without having our own research done, or starting a service and have you done your due diligence and understanding the market first, and so that's kind of where we are this year, bro. So in regards to digital discipline, anyway.
Because I would assume that when it comes to social media, it evolves. There's new things, new trends, and what the kids do in front of the phones and all that kind of stuff. Like TikTok's been around for a long time, but then it's like, I don't know. I remember they used to do the dancing, but now it might be changed now. I think it might be something else now. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's that kind of research out to see what the trends are and see what's new, what's changing in the minds of the kids these days, huh?
Yeah.
Like did when you look back at when you started, you said it was your own experience, which was really what you talked about the first time you came. But have you yourself seen the evolution of what social media over the time you've been in business in that space, and what are your new challenges now? I mean, I know you gotta do the research now, but what have you seen any changes in social media since you first started?
I think it might sound a bit like a sort of progressive, but I think the biggest evolution of this whole thing has been that the access has been for everybody. Even young people are able to be pacified through sort of social media. I think one of my biggest observations about this whole thing has been the fact that there's a lot of secrecy going on in our young people with these kind of backdoor apps and things that they don't even disclose to the police or adults for that matter. And so that seems to be the challenge at the moment, is there's a lot of stuff that goes unreported, and bro, that seems to be one of the biggest observations. The other thing I was going to say is we're kind of weirdly fortunate that we're a couple years behind the US and the UK, who usually do research and those kind of studies that come out of the high schools or young people or whatever it is. Bro, so at least we kind of see it coming,
Right.
given
Right.
they're experiencing it full on over there. And then we watch it unfold there and can kind of predict that, okay, that's the type of shit that's happening over there, and at least we can kind of prepare for it. But I mean, as a kind of newly established organization, we're only, like, system wise, only trying to put that together to have current research or current affairs that are happening overseas, so that we can kind of keep up with the conversation and the trend, so that at least we're aware of it before it kind of comes to New Zealand, right? So yeah.
There's a book I'm reading right now. It's about 4 billionaires of the world, and two of them is Elon Musk, and the other one is Zuckerberg. And this book is talking about how these billionaires are investing all their monies into the future, what they think the future should be.
Who was that? Did you say Bill Gates?
No, it wasn't Bill Gates. It was 2 other guys. I forgot their names, but the other 2 were Elon Musk and Zuckerberg. So each of them have invested their money in the future. So one of them, I forgot his name, invests his money in AI. The other one invests his money in, he has this dream that humans should live to 150.
Okay.
And Elon Musk wants to go to Mars. And Zuckerberg wants to create virtual reality world, the metaverse. And this book reckons that these 4 billionaires will be the end of humanity because of where they're going. It's got nothing to do with the poor people in the world or people. You know, if you can't afford these things in the future, then you're screwed. So it's like this book is saying that these guys are like building for a new civilization. You know, it's gonna kill half the earth, half of humanity, which is interesting. It's an interesting sort of theory there, but you know, this guy makes sense. You know, and it's scary. You know, but the metaverse part is probably what you're interested in, because that this reality world that Zuckerberg wants to make. You know, where you can just wake up in the morning, put your goggles on, and you go to work. You know, buy a house or live, and then take your goggles off and go to sleep. You know.
Bro, it is.
I mean, what the hell is that?
Bro, to be honest, sometimes I wonder if I should know all of that, and then sometimes I'm like, maybe it's not even important for me to know all of that, because I think what the underlying success for us to have balance is not even around the tech. It's around our emotional capabilities. It's about our connectedness to spirituality. It's our mental fortitude is probably what allows us to make better decisions online than whatever else is going online. So if you are strong in all of those areas and you somehow happen to go into the metaverse, then at least you have these solid pillars of values that if you see something on there that you shouldn't, or you're engaging in conversations that probably you shouldn't, then at least you got your solid in your mental, spiritual and emotional fortitude, what you call it, foundations, so that you don't have to fall victim to what these could potentially do to you or your family. And so sometimes I think the conversation is heavily around tech and its evolution, but to me it's kind of almost like, oh, it sounds too hippie, but the solution or the way you combat that is not actually the construct of the app. It's actually understanding what's going on in here, because what's going on in here impacts your decisions that you make online, whether it's seeking validation, whether it's my self-esteem shit, so I need to keep posting these, you know, whatever type of photos it is that I'm posting. So unless you get that shit sorted, then that's always going to be a problem, and sometimes we lean into tech being the problem. But that's kind of where we sit in terms of digital discipline, is having these kind of confronting conversations around, like, you know, just making sure that you're doing it for the right reason. Are you pushing all your chips into social media to qualify yourself, or should you actually be going to that Bible study that your mum's been telling you about, you know, or whatever the case may be? Because I don't think that strength that people perceive you can get from being online is found online. It's not there. Like, the solid base of who you are will never be found online. It might encourage you. I mean, I watched a couple David Goggins clips, you know, in my time, and feel like, oh, I want to run from here to bloody Hamilton, you know. But it's just a catalyst, you know. It's supposed to encourage you and start an idea or something. But it can't be the thing that you are relying on in order to build your ego or self-esteem. It's just not the place to do it, eh?
I can see how all 3 of your projects, digital discipline, children's books, and Surviving Boys, are all linked that way. You've just explained something that links our culture to digital discipline. Like, going back to the roots, the inside, your inner workings, you know, and just using that, you know. Like technology. See, when we talked about the bilinguals before, they're all about progress. Technology is progress for them. Like, they'd rather see the technology grow and that's it. Yeah. You know, that takes over everything. Where we you know, we talk about that, and you just said it's not the battle of the app, it's the battle of yourself. What you value. Yeah. And the face-to-face communication, the human side of things. Yeah. We're keeping it simple. I think keeping it simple. When progress talks to making things complicated, then people get lost.
Yeah.
You know, people get lost. They only get what they get in front of them. Like if you give me a phone and give me an app, that's what the app does. Oh yeah, I want to play around.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we don't think about what's real anymore, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing, you know, like as great as our kids are and savvy online and able to navigate these kind of techie IT kind of world, you know, it is magnificent. I actually think it's pretty cool. But the thing is, like what happens when the lights go out? You know, what if there's some sort of catastrophe that happens where we're just out of power for like, I don't know, a whole week? Then it's really ironic that we should actually know how to plant shit. You know, like, you know, we should actually know how to, I don't know, hunt. I'm not saying that it's going to turn into one of those movies where we go like killing each other, but there's some basics that we don't even know. Like, for example, I talked to a school leader who says, like, right now, our primary school kids, their handwriting is shit. Like, firstly, because half of the curriculum's gone online, and then secondly, they're not even practicing how to write. So, like, is writing a necessity for your job in the future? Probably not. But what if the power goes out? How are you going to communicate or send a message if you don't even know how to write? Some of our kids' writing looks like they're writing Chinese. It's just pretty horrible, you know. So there's these baseline things that sometimes I question: is technology actually, improving this thing that we think it's improving, or is it debilitating us in the long run? Like, should we know both? Maybe is there room for both? Is there room for? I'm not sure if you've done this at school, but I remember doing an intermediate calligraphy.
Oh yeah.
Right. I had to get a pen, like, and my handwriting is pretty good, if I'm honest, but like that's just one example of a skill that will it be around in 20 years? Not sure, but bro, what if a catastrophe happens? Like, how are you going to communicate if there's no Wi-Fi and if your phone's dead? Like, bro, we're shot, man. Like, and so yeah, if the world goes to custody, you know, and you gotta, and Samoa's the only option. What are you going to do there if you haven't been back? You're like, Tommy seen his clothes, brother. Like, you're going to do is sit around and what, like eat bongos or something? Like, yeah, you got to know these baseline. And I'm not the expert, man. Like, but I'm trying to plot and plan and theorize to make sure that for myself, for my sons, for those who are close to me, have a connection back just in case. You know, the economy actually turns to shit and we actually need to go back, and it's probably more sustainable to go back and live off the land, you know. It's something that we kind of loosely talk about, but what if that has to be the case, you know? Do we know how to do that? I'm not sure.
Well, I had the privilege to go back to Samoa and work there. Lived there for 6 months and worked there, and man, it was the best sort of learning experience for me to like leave everything back in New Zealand, all the hustle and bustle and stuff, and pay the bills and just the grind. You get here and just go in Samoa and just relax and just work, relax. You know, that there's that work-life balance that just comes naturally, and no one cares. You know, everything gets done late. Like, I'm not saying no one cares over there, but it's just island time is real over there. You know, it's real for everybody. So it was good. It was good. It was a good experience, and of course I had to come back and then shop again. It was, that's get rid of my island time.
Nah, bro, I love it, man. Like, and sometimes I have to question, like, you know, I'm not saying island time's not good, but sometimes because we've been educated here, because we've understood everything from a Western lens, like sometimes I have to ask myself, bro, like the majority of how I sift through my thoughts of decision making or how I qualify my decisions or others, like, is it all from a Western lens? I gotta be like straight honest with myself, because I think sometimes it is, you know, because we don't understand the power of how we were, I wouldn't say groomed, but educated here, because we have been designed to think a certain way. Anything that was essay writing or critical thinking that we done in, let's say, year 11, year 12, that wasn't from an islander teacher. That wasn't how, they didn't lay out how, okay, this is how you should think of it critically from a Samoan point of view. because this is our Samoan ethos and values. It's always been a very academic-centric way of thinking, you know, and it's not that it's bad, but when we're making decisions around our own people, where are we drawing this well of knowledge from in order to make those decisions? Is it coming from a Western? I mean, the perfect example is around whālawe-laves, you know. You've known about that thing since you're 5 years old. Why is it now a problem? And I'm not saying that it's
because we're making money now.
Bro, but like you've known about it.
Yeah.
Like you've known about it for years, and so why are you complaining now? So I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but which brain are you using? Are you using your Palangi brain? Because if you are, then that's why you think like that. But if you have your Samoan brain, yeah, it's still a bit of a pinch, but you already know.
Yeah.
That's just how it is, man. If God wanted you to be bloody Malaysian or from Ireland, He would have done that, but you're Samoan, so that's your cards. Then play your cards, bro. Like, can't run from it, man. And if you do, then bro, then go do that and don't come back. Like.
So I'm thinking like we got no excuse then. You know, like we're struggling, but if we struggle living in the Western world, then we shouldn't, because we were brought up in school. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like you know, and any complaints are using we're sort of like picking and choosing which side we're on. That's convenient to us. In a way.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Like
because you got me thinking, like my attitude towards it, like yeah, I've done that, you know.
Oh, I have too, bro. Yeah. I've really tried to repent of that mentality, because it's kind of like what I was talking about buying T-shirts and buying flags during just a parade. I made a running joke with my sisters, like, if you got a flag that has creases in it, nah, man, don't bloody do that. That's like, it's not what we're supposed to be doing, bro. Like, we shouldn't be like, you should have a flag 24/7, the whole 12 months of the year. Why just now? So that's kind of what I'm talking about when it comes to. Yeah, I'm not the Samoan police for like who's Samoan and who's not, but when it comes to whālawe-laves, it's like you already knew that, and if I'm honest, it's like you just gotta earn more. If I'm honest, I'm not asking you to be a millionaire, but to be honest, you can shift your financial position in 2 to 3 years if you really applied yourself in something that you know you should be at. But because we're not earning enough, that's the reason why when Mum calls for $250, it's a problem. I also have to wonder. That just makes me sound like I'm like.
No.
But I also wanna query. If that's your problem with whālawe-laves, let me see your bank statement over the last 2 weeks. Because if I see fucking KFC there, I don't know, Red Rat, you know, like whatever else, you know, and there's the dairy you go to every day, then it makes me wonder, why are you complaining about the $250 that only comes once a quarter a year, you know, or I don't know, my whālawe-laves is not, probably like 3 times a year. You know, I told my mum, once a year, I'll release some money for someone I don't know. You come with 2, you've used your allowance for that year. Love you, but I can't do 2 people I don't know. Faithful whakako mea, man. Yeah, so it's a joke, but I'm also serious. Like, bro, yeah, okay. So it's that person that lived 2 houses down, their uncle's mother-in-law died. Okay, do I want to? No, but you know. So yeah, bro, that's the query I want to ask is like, do we pick and choose? Like, and then is that called culture? Then if we, I'll just do. Yeah, I'll dance, you know, for the family reunion and get in a puletasi and put a say. But do I want to act like a Samoan woman, I don't know, on a Friday night? You know, so like which one are you going to choose? Like, and again, who am I? Like, this is just my own opinions, bro, but I'm trying to be, to me, I want a pathway to being just all in, because yes, I do think that there's some great things in the Western world, but you're governing wealth, or you're governing well of wisdom or knowledge, and the base of where you make your decisions should be from a Samoan lens. It's just my opinion. can I use the Western lens to help me decide? You know, because if I was all Samoan, then I'd give to every whānau beloved. But you know, I have to find the happy medium, which is still lopsided to the Samoan side, to qualify some of the things I do or say, or you know, it's challenging, bro, because you know, sometimes in the Western world, you want to be super confronting. You know, you want to rack up someone or confront someone. But to me, I've seen my uncles do it gently. I've seen them do it long form. I've seen them do it with love. You know, and sometimes we get all rowdy on social media about certain political issues or whatever, and you know, try to do this one out people, cancel someone. Not sure if that's exactly how Samoans do it, bro. They do those formals, they do long form formals, and they are very respectful there. I've never heard any formals where they just talk over each other and argue. You know, you say your piece, you let it rest, the next person says their thing, yeah, and it's all been always loving, you know. And so, yeah, bro, that's probably where I'm coming from in terms of like that's my desire. You know, I'm not there yet. I'm still beginner stages in terms of how I qualify what I do or think the way I think. But, you know, I just don't want to be someone who lets New Zealand society or society in general put me on a mental hamster wheel to decide what's appropriate or not, especially for stuff that's to do with my culture, you know. Because then that's why there's so much confusion, so much dialogue online about, you know, is this appropriate in Tongan culture? Is this appropriate in Samoan culture? Man, you ask anybody out in the wop-wops, you know, kua, they'll tell you straight what it is. But why are we having these discussions online on what's appropriate? It's because we've been educated a certain way, and sometimes the Western way of thinking doesn't always marry up with, you know, what Samoan culture says, you know.
Man, I'm glad you think that way, because I think a lot of people don't think that way. And I think it's important that you do have your perspective, because it's kind of my same perspective as well. Especially we talked about Balinese and the value of progress. You're talking about progress too, but in our own way. Like, see, we can jam with you guys on progress, but we can do it our way. You know, bring our values into it too, which is important. You know, and if we can, and I think you're a perfect example of someone that's found a way to do that. I think you're still learning. But I think with the businesses you have and the projects you've had, you're constantly learning about the stuff, and you know, these ideas come in your head and what's happening in the world, and you know, what you learn from your jobs or from your projects. You can figure it out. You're starting to figure it out, you know, and you're bringing up stuff. You're bringing up a whole lot of different conversations that, you know, people can have for hours. But I think it's important. And it's refreshing too, to hear your point of view, especially the progress part of it, and to, you know, to if something's wrong in your life, fix it. Like, do what you gotta do. Like, I like what you said about, you know, earning enough, earn some more. Like, how you gonna do that? You know, no excuses. You know, because no one has excuses. Because, you know, and we come back to what we said before, our excuse might be saying, oh, we used to be navigators, you know, or the Balinese don't care about that. They say, oh, if we fail, we're going to do something else. We're going to move up. That's all we care about, progress, you know. And yeah, man, I think you're the perfect example of, because everyone's got their own opinion, right? And to empower Pacific Islanders, I know the government tries to do it with the Pacifica stuff, funding and stuff like that. But, you know, like, you can also transcend that as well and do something on your own. And I think if there's space to do that, to move forward from A to B, C, all the way up, yeah, it's possible, right? If you put your mind to anything, you can just do it. Who cares about what everyone says and all that? Don't worry about that. Like, if you can find a way. You found a way.
I don't know. I'd like to think I've found the start line is probably the most important one, but probably there's many examples of great islanders who have been able to, you know, navigate, you know, this world. You know, I can't talk about the sea because I actually don't like being out on the sea, but there is a form of navigation that we're doing, and sometimes it's treacherous and sometimes it's pretty clear. One of the things I don't think we're doing much of, and this is from a Christian point of view, but I don't think we're using much of our spiritual Samoan Polynesian intuition. Like, yeah, they say it's your gut feeling, but I think we have a heightened connection to our intuition. There's this line in one of T.I. songs. It's not even one of his famous ones, but I remember him saying that don't let your emotions overpower your intelligence. And sometimes I think we let our emotions overpower our spiritual or intuitive intelligence, because the emotions can be anxiety. The emotions can be, I'll be judged. The emotions can be, I'm not ready. And so there's all these things when intuitively you already know you can do it. You're made for it, you're built for it, this is your destiny. And it would just be, for me, for my personal journey anyway, it would just be sad to have a 60th birthday and do a whole lot of reflection of, oh, bro, I could have done that, I should have done that, I would have done that. And that's all I'm thinking, kind of just before retiring, because, so that's why right now, man, if it lands on my lap and I know it's from God, bro, I just go out and do it, and if or at least people have seen me try, so that they can build off that. If my sons have seen me try something, they can carry on my work. If it didn't go the way it planned, and it's not its season, at least the seed's there, It'll flourish another season. At least I've planted something, But for me, there's that parable that talks about the dudes that got the talents, And bro, I can't feel comfortable being an able-bodied islander and just hide my talent, I can't put my finger on what that talent is, but to me it's just whatever God gives me, I'll just go out and try to do it the best I can. And it's not perfect, but at least people, for my kind of small circle of friends and family, at least I'm giving it a shot, because no one had given it a shot from our parents' age, because they couldn't, they didn't have that opportunity. We have that now. And so if it's my sons, nieces, nephews that see me, see that uncle, he tried to do his business and one of them were alright, but the other ones didn't do that great. Now I've been familiar with what he was doing and talking about. I got a little bit of experience now from him, and I can build something better or on top of what he's done. But if we don't do that, then they got nothing to draw from,
Going back to the Hawaii boys, because the first time I heard about the mounds was through Tony Brown.
Right.
And I seen he's on Facebook doing all the old photographs, the old Afghani photographs, a bit of a story in there. He came on a podcast and he talked about the mounds and all that, and that's the first time I ever heard of it. And then he spoke about Ethel doing some work from he actually mapped out the big one. What's it called? The big one?
Is he the Polymalay or the silly one?
Yeah. And he drew it on CAD. And I looked at it and I was like, oh yeah. I was just amazed at, what that is. I thought of Stonehenge in England and there. I was like, this is like kind of those kind of things, eh? Wow, that's so cool. I didn't know it was there, But did you ever chance to talk to Tony?
Not yet. I've messaged him. I'm sure we'll link up soon. He was very responsive. I think he's quite a humble individual as well. He's like, I think he said something along the lines that he's not the absolute professional or knowledgeable person. I think
he's like you. He's had a heart for history and did something about it.
I think, I'm not sure if he would say this about himself, but I know for me it's, me and Thomas have probably just qualified ourselves as archaeological enthusiasts.
Yeah.
And probably enthusiasts so that if we say we're experts, then, we live and die by what we say. But if you're an enthusiast, you can just kind of theorize, guesstimate type stuff, So, but just to add on that, bro, it's been interesting the types of responses and things we've found out. So, I'm not trying to make Samoa the father of Polynesia, because everybody's got their own little where they were born, So,
but it is.
Hey,
we got the evidence.
But interestingly enough, that Polymalay, how it's kind of like a half pyramid, those things are called heiau in Hawaii, and they have very, well documented stories of what those are for. It's for spiritual purposes, it's for human sacrifice. And so what I try to do, and again, there's probably papers and people that know way more than I do, but as a beginner, this is kind of not my full-time job. So if they came from Samoa, then surely those things that they know about, these structures that look exactly like the pulemele, is a direct link to what this thing is. Because in Samoa, the pulemele, they kind of have an idea. They kind of think it was for some sort of spiritual purpose. But there's other theories that talk about, I think it's Seunga Lupi, which is like pigeon catching games. And so you have these two really different ideas of what these mounds were for, that they were for pigeon catching, and those chiefs that used to, I don't know, play against each other and catch pigeons or something. And then there's also spiritual elements, or whether they're both one and the same on this one particular site, I'm not sure. Nobody kind of knows. But in Hawaii, they're very sure about what their mounds are for. And they got tours for them, and they, so to me, I try to, with Thomas and a few others, try to backtrack, like to see if there's much dialogue between, Samoa and Hawaii. And so we have found a few oral histories and things that are documented in books to say that, again, this is just a theory, that there is like strong links between Savai'i and Hawaii. Even those two names kind of make you sound like, what? But even some of the names in there, there's a Upolu Point, there's a Manuka district, and there's so there's these other names of places in there that have reference to like Savai'i. It's the buzziest thing. And I had a conversation with a dude who's half Hawaiian, half Samoan. He's residing in California, and I asked him, what do Hawaiians think of the Samoan origin or history like? Because I told him one of the things that one of the YouTube clips I had heard is, no, Hawaiians just dropped out of the sky. They just have their own god, and their god blessed Hawaii, and that's it. But he was saying that, and again, this is probably from his own experience, but he said the OG Hawaiians, the ones that are in Kua, the ones that aren't like these woke advocate Hawaiians, they don't mind that the history is from Samoa. They were saying that the Kamehameha, his lineage is Samoan. So if he was the one that, combined all of these Hawaiian islands, and he's, they have a Kamehameha Day, but actually he's, he said that in Hawaii, that's almost like not a running joke, but that's what Samoans say to Hawaiians, like, oh, yeah, there's a Samoan anyway. So I'm not trying to down them, but we should just be okay that we kind of came from somewhere, because even Samoans came from somewhere. We didn't just drop out of the sky. And so that's the link I've made in terms of the mounds, bro. Like, the other interesting thing, bro, I'll probably end off with this, because then, I don't want all the historians to come for me, but there's this place in Tahiti where it is like a spiritual home ground. This is what some Māori and Hawaiians say is their spiritual home ground. I can't remember the name of the actual place, but the island is called Raiatea. So they say that this little, it's like this, almost like just this rock platter, and it's got, it's all cornered off kind of thing. It's near the water. It looks like it launches off, boats launch off it, and got these other mound type things around it. But they said that that's their spiritual home in terms of where they left to Hawaii or to New Zealand. That's on this island called Raiatea. Raiatea has another island right next to it called Taha. And so here's the kicker in all of this. Is the Raiatea and Taha, where those names are new. The French gave them those names. Raiatea is originally called Hawaii, and the one next to it is called Uporu. So I don't think many Hawaiians or Māoris know that Raiatea is actually Hawaii. Where it came from Hawaii.
Did you find out why they changed it?
Bro, I didn't. All I wanted to know is when did they change it or who changed it? Because that's what the dialogue was saying in some of like our social media and like blogs and shit. I was like, when did this who changed the names then? But bro, like people know if you, I don't know, next time
I wonder if it's because they say, oh, there's the audio Bulu, we'll just call it something else, so we don't get confused.
Probably. I don't think they were like, oh, let's try, stamp out this history between these islands. They just probably didn't want two sets of islands sounding the same. So Hawaii, is this place that's the spiritual home ground for, for what some theorists say is Hawaii and New Zealand. Not knowing that this thing was called Hawaii in reference to the, whatever group of people that navigated there. So that was the buzziest thing to me, So
it's supposed to have those two islands are next to each other.
Yeah.
They're probably the same distance away from like Upolu and Samoa and Samoa.
Yeah.
So when the people come down here from Hawaii, we'll call this Hawaii too.
Yeah.
And then there's an island over here called it Upolu. And go over here, the same sort of thing. So we'll call it the same sort of thing. We'll call it the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's again, I'm nowhere near the expert, but there's so many Samoan place names, or not a lot, but there's a few that are in Tonga as well, and I'm not saying that Samoan came up with it because I don't know, but there's an awful island in the middle of the islands. There's an awful over here, there's a Kanakuporu village or district or something in Tonga. And you got Upolu over here, and then Upolu out here in Tahiti, and then Upolu Point up in Hawaii. So you tell me who's the daddy over here, like, do you want to be it, or I don't know, it doesn't really matter, but what I'm trying to say is this connection in amongst all these islands in terms of place names, But yeah, bro, there's some of the interesting discoveries, bro.
Well, it does make sense, because the Europeans did it. They called New Zealand because it was New Zealand's over there in Denmark. And you see, like, all over England, there's the same names over here in Australia.
Yeah, bro.
So, even in America too. Like, these names are,
New Hampshire.
New England. Yeah, man.
So,
that is buzzy. And did you find this out by reading? Or did someone tell you, like,
Bro, it's a mixture of like, so this Hawaii Boys thing has been so intriguing because, people put either what their families have said or what they know.
They just give you the info. Because they know that's a platform.
But we gotta validate it though, because we can't go off every old like Tom, Dick and Harry saying that, whatever, this and that.
So all the stories on the Instagram all validated.
Yeah, bro, there's heaps of people that chime in on it. I think one of our posts was about there being it was a bottle in Samoa and a bottle in Hawaii. So the amount of arguments on there, just like who's the original this and who, and then you got people doing their ngafa on there. I'm like, I honestly have not gone through all of it because it's just hundreds of people been shared thousands of times. Like, I just can't keep up with it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, bro. Well, I've got to give props to there's this young Samoan chick who does our social media. So everybody thinks I do it, but she's the one that puts it all together. So we meet every other week, talk about kind of I give some of the, I guess you could call it the creative direction of some of the posts. And then she's the one that kind of stitches it all up, kind of thing. So yeah, bro, it's been interesting. We've been trying to give a variety of everything. I know it comes off very pro Hawaii, but I mean there isn't any other page that does that. It's always Samoa in general, and most things about Samoa. To be fair, I don't know if Samoa Tourism is going to listen, but you guys need to step your game up. Like, all we see is like just a nice beach, Chosua,
Robert
Louis Stevenson, and if it is Hawaii, it's Double O Holes, it's Afua'au, which is the waterfall, and maybe one of the resorts. And that just circulate that thing. I'm like, bro, there's so much more that people, I think, are interested in, So yeah, bro, that's kind of some of the strategy behind our content is just to highlight some of the corners of our history that I'm still learning, bro. I learned it, then we put it together, the following week. So this isn't stuff that's coming from like 20-year research thing. This is just stuff I learned probably the week before or 2 weeks ago, and then we put it out so that everybody knows as well,
And it's good having that platform because, like you said, information coming in and you can get to people because I think it's a first for these stories, because even when one of the videos I saw on the thing, I was like, wow, just I haven't heard that story before, but it's that feeling of wanting more after that,
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, it just makes me proud, when you hear our stories, like, presented that way, like from the islands, directly from the islands,
Yeah, bro, I mean, I do a lot of just videoing anything and everything when I'm there, it's probably, what you call it, it's probably not the greatest thing given I run digital discipline, but for me it's, to me I'm working, because I'm just shooting things that, I guess people that haven't been back to Samoa in ages, they're like, it's emotional seeing some of the stuff because they're like, shit, we've had people message and say, bro, I think it's time I go home, given some of the stuff you've showed on your stories or whatever, they're like, frick, I need to go home, I think I posted a story maybe a month or two ago, just around, when was the last time we went home, or something. It was like, if you're struggling with something, and you haven't been able to fix it, and you should be healing from something, and it's not working where you are, consider the fact that you haven't gone home in ages, and bro, like, yeah, probably a good dozen people were like, fuck, man, yeah, I have tried everything and it's not working, and so I'm a big believer in that, bro. Like, I feel such a there's such a peace when I'm in my dad's village. My granddad's buried there, from what all my uncles and aunties says, and my dad, I was the first grandchild that he met, so to me, I feel real privileged and special to be there, as the first grandchild that he's ever, seen or met or carried, so there's these experiences that I have emotionally and spiritually that, that help me when I come back, in terms of, purpose, in terms of, am I doing something that's fulfilling,
It's that rejuvenation,
Exactly.
when you come back,
Exactly, bro. Yeah, that's
more
exactly
energy,
it.
good. I'm in a sort of like I was listening. I remember what you said about people going back home, and are they really going back home? Or you said something about how our kids probably wouldn't go back home, or our grandkids wouldn't go back home. And it was interesting you said that. It was probably a good timing because my dad's village is from Malay, and they've got their Sofai. I think this month. And they're giving out. I think they're giving out 9 or 10, which is a big jump because their village is real strict on that. They don't really give out guys in that. They haven't done it for years.
Yeah.
So they're not really into the multiple ones, And it was interesting because that's my dad's village. My dad's buried here, but my grandfather's buried there. And it's probably my dad's probably the last connection we have to that village, because when we go to Samoa, I don't really go there. My sisters don't really go there. We go to my mom, So, but my sister, she's really into all that kind of stuff. So, but they don't give it to women at that village. So it's like this will be the last chance to be connected to my dad's village, But it's like, but we haven't been there.
Yeah. So
it's like, do we deserve it? Should we get a title? Do we deserve it? Because we haven't been there. So what are they gonna think? Like, oh, you guys never came. So I'm on that sort of like crossroads sort of thing now. I feel a little bit sad.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably way more to that than sort of what you explained, but the gist of it is that's the dilemma that a lot of us have. You know, I got cousins that like are too uncomfortable to go back because they haven't been back since they were like 7. And so even though we've got family there, it still feels like you're a visitor or a stranger. So that's why I say, you know, for whoever that individual is, whether it's yourself or whether it's me, someone needs to like latch on and go through the uncomfortable phases of being there all the time, even though there's a perception, or they're probably wondering, you know, why I'm coming all the time.
Yeah.
But honestly, I guess for me, in a generational sense, let's say for you, if that's going to be the thing that you do, the flip side is if you don't, then what do we tell our grandkids? We'll still call Malie a part of who we are, but it's almost like a finding Hawaii exercise because we don't have a connection to their proper. So to me, like I'm not trying to be that guy for my family, you know. But I think every family needs that guy to almost like reverse migration, almost, you know. Because imagine how uncomfortable it was for our first family member to come here. Probably like the biggest culture shock. It's crazy because we're almost doing that going back. You know, like we're trying to reconnect and understand what that culture is. We have an idea because we've been there maybe a few times, you know, and then we see bits and pieces, but it's different from actually being there. So for me, it's who's that link back? Because we know who came. You know, for me, it was my tutuli, it was my ukomi, you know, it was my umki on my other side, you know, it was these other uncles that, who knows what they were thinking coming here, no English, you know, have to stumble through all of that. They had to do that. So for me, like, understanding that kind of struggle and not understanding it fully, but shit, I need to do the same back to Samoa. So that, to me, man, like, and again, these are just my own, you know, subjective thoughts, like, just this is just part of my own race, you know. But to me, I think that, yeah, our parents, yeah, I love the opportunities New Zealand provides, you know. I've benefited from being in New Zealand, but our grandparents or parents moved here to what they call Sa'ili Manguia, you know, they came to look for that Manguia, the blessings or the opportunities. To me, doubling back to Samoa being a living entity, I think she was okay, you know, sending her kids out. But kind of like when you send your kids out, you kind of hope that they come back and bring something on Sunday or visit during the week, you know, or at least acknowledge that you were okay, that you provided an opportunity, they left. So to me, I feel like I found a little bit of manguia, you know, and so to me, I want to take that back. And that's why I've worked heavily with the school there. We'll go to the school again, you know, we've given out, like, again, hundreds of books all over Samoa. And we'll do stuff for, you know, some of their sports stuff. We're part of their kind of graduation at the end of the year with awards and all that sort of jazz. But what I'm trying to say is now that I have a little bit, you know, I've got to get back to me. That's what you call 685 to the world. Like, that's to me, that's my definition. I don't know, other people might have their own definition. But to me, that's what you call someone that's, you know, for the culture. And other people doing way more than me, you know, way more influential than me. But for my own race, I'm just trying to live out the essence of, you know, representing Samoa. Because representation, to me, comes with actions. Representation isn't just, you know, scroll through the Instagram thing and find the Samoan flag and then hashtag 685. Like, that doesn't do anything for kids in your village. Like, what have you done for your, let alone your family? Have you even visited your mum yet? Like, so to me, it's like there's this facade. Like, Samoa's almost a brand, you know. It's like a cool thing to wear, you know. Yeah. But what, like, the essence of being Samoan, and again, I'm really at the beginning stages, but again, I'm willing. The language is kind of, you know, not there, but you know, to me, in this stage of my life, I'm trying to see, okay, what do I know here? What do I have here that I can kind of give some of my manguia back to, you know, people that are way less fortunate than me and my sons, you know. There's kids out there, bro, I've seen them, you know, they don't have anything, bro, they actually don't, you know, besides sugar cane, you know, for breakfast and, you know, rice and eleni for lunch. Like there's really nothing else. So to me, it's like, you know, I gotta share some of my portion. You know, I worked for it, but it wasn't from me. God gave it to me. So why am I holding on to this thing? Right? There's many of us. They got tens of thousands of dollars just sitting there in our savings account. Like, just go home and find your local school. You know, and what can I do? You know, at least they see you turning up, and you know. You can buy some cheap book series books to take to school. Find it on cheapbookseries.com. You know, buy it off me. I'll give you a discount for a bulk, and then you know take it back to your school, bro. They're so under resourced. A lot of these schools, you know. So yeah, that's bro. Again, that's my own kind of how I perceive representation. How I perceive what that 685 thing means. Actually, you know, I don't really want to just make it a waving flag exercise. It's like, what are you doing, you know, outside of your Instagram posts or stories, you know, that actually feed into the essence of representing our people and also doing something for our people, you know. Yeah.
I saw a poet using Samoa stories, one of your books in that one. Really cool. So you know, I know that's almost drew his t-shirt. One of the characters there.
Yeah.
Has he talked to you about it?
Nah, he's pretty quiet about everything. Yeah, those books have been cool, man.
Come out?
Yeah, bro, there should be one coming out early December.
Oh, nice.
Right on top of Christmas. That's a book that wasn't written by me, but we've been fortunate, you know, through the Heilani one that we kind of co-authored, and then this one is just full on not even me that authored it. So we've tried to transition into being a publishing company, so that I'm not just an author. So yeah, there's a backlog of, when I say backlog, it's not hundreds of people. It's like 4, you know. So I need to make that stuff clear, so I'm not coming off like there's a whole line around the corner of people that want to write stories. There's only about 3 or 4, right? So,
but it's still the progression. You know?
It's still
progress.
Step, bro. I just think, bro, if I'd done that shit full time, if I'll take over from a business perspective, I'll run this shit. You're like, but you're lucky. I'm only doing 5 hours a week. So if I do 40. Yeah, bro, but trying to weave our way into sort of the American market and see how we can kind of infiltrate there. But yeah, man, NPP and MOE, you know, they're not paying me to say this, but they've been really helpful, you know, with some of their funding and seeing kind of the reputation we've had and the quality of our books. I think the coolest thing about it also is when these people or these groups have supported the creation of these books or bought these books have reference to faith, you know, either in part of the story they're praying or the illustration they're praying, or there's a Bible verse at the beginning of it. Again, I've been really willing, you know, if I thought about it too much and thought about what society thinks, then I'll probably drop my nuts in putting something that's kind of spiritual or biblical in there, just to kind of, make it almost like my own point of difference, you know. And so I think that's why it survives, because God's been like, yeah, you're lucky, man. You're lucky you checked that verse in there, you know, because if not, I would have given it to someone else who wants to, you know, write about me or whatever. But yeah, we've been fortunate enough to be funded for another 3 books, so I'm assuming we're doing something right. So yeah, bro, that's one, and then hopefully we can get through another 3 next year. Yeah, bro, trying to stagnate it, obviously, because my time's taken up by digital discipline, and then the Soapos thing. But yeah, man, I think we're doing all right. In terms of from a creative point of view. Yeah, I'm pretty biased. I think we're creating stories and books that are kind of unmatched, man. Like the stuff we're able to really be thorough about. You know, because, for example, the Oferta Ma book, the house that we had in there, the wallpaper had to look like the wallpaper we grew up on. The dimensions of their house was the same kind of houses that we grew up in. It's like from Oranga, Oranga Te Papa area. It's even got the little dome-shaped, circle-shaped shed in the back. People might not notice it, but that's how thorough like we want to be. There's magnets on the fridge. There's like even in this new book, we're real like. One of the pages, the boys, he's the character. He's in a cast. He's just reading a book on his bed. 2 posters are up there. One is on my cousins in Standard, and then the other one is a rap group called Cutthroat. There's a T-shirt on his bed. It's got a logo of one of my friends. There's his little merch thing in there. But on the corner on the windowsill, there's if you know what a Samoan Bible looks like, the black cover with the red.
No, the red, yeah.
Then you know that that's so. Those are the little things. It's almost like where's Wally type stuff. But if you know, That's like the essence of it. You're like, oh shit, how did they put that in there? Like, how did they even think about that? So that's the cool creative stuff that that we enjoy about creating these books. Because bro, even parents or fathers have messaged over the last couple of months. They were telling that book was bad.
Yeah, so, and that's great. You guys are doing it. You're doing it because it's needed and it's modern too. It comes from because we're from same age group. So it's like from our perspective and our generation, we have families now, kids. So to have all those things in the drawings, it's really cool. It's if you know, you know, but we know,
yeah,
it's pretty cool. Even having the pictures around the walls and the house.
Right. Yeah.
Kind of stuff. But because my missus, she's a school teacher. She heads her bilingual class, and she ordered your book.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's good timing, man. All these bilingual classes are opening up in all these schools around the place.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, man. Like, gotta give a shout out to those two. Would love to continue our partnership. For the next 10 years. But David Riley's probably someone that I gotta pay homage to. He's we haven't talked lately, but he's been inspirational for me. He's a bilingual dude who's been writing these books consistently, probably like for years. And I'm not sure if I said this in the last one, but I remember I had a bit of reservation around doing this because I couldn't put together the Samoan aspect of these books, because my Samoan's not flash. But he was, so humble and addressing my concern, and he was like, man, I've almost been waiting for, another guy to write these stories, because he essentially said, this is your job, not necessarily his, but, and so, yeah, gotta give mad props to David Riley. He's still putting out some really good bilingual books or books that. And the thing I appreciate about him most is, and it's something that will definitely stay out of because it's just not our thing. But he's been able to write books about the very small Pacific nations. I think he put out a Tuvaluan one. I know he's got Niuean books. Because sometimes we think. Some of us think that the only 2 Pacific islands in the whole of the Pacific are just Tonga and Samoa and maybe Fiji, as if the other ones don't exist, but he's great in making sure that, that these other Polynesian, countries or islands or cultures highlighted in their books because I definitely don't have time for that. Not that it's, disrespect, but, I've got my own little niche thing, so I'll stay here, and that's what his one is, and I love what he's doing.
Sure, listen. Damn.
Thanks, bro.
Well, good, man. So, what's happening for the rest of the year? What are your plans? Almost till Christmas. Gonna be busy all the way to Christmas, or you gonna have a break?
Bro, I've been trying to slow down, man. Definitely try and make it out to Samoa before the end of the year.
What's the trip going to involve some more collecting stories?
Collecting stories, just clearing more bush, having a look at it to see if it is a viable option to do an archaeological tour. And then I'm gonna go. I haven't booked my flights yet, but I want to go during the schools, the village or the district schools graduation. You know, again, I'm just real blessed to have a little bit of resource, but we're gonna do the overall. You know how they do the end of year celebrations, end of year graduations, where I've asked if we can do. I asked the principal a couple of months ago, what awards do you give out? And it was only like two, it was ducks and sports. I said, if you were to have any more awards, like, is that the only two? Like, or would you have more awards if, He's like, yeah, definitely, we just don't have. I said, well, what would those awards be? And he was like, would love an overall award, just an overall student, and then a leadership one. And I'll shine digital discipline. So digital discipline, is just gonna hopefully, well, not hopefully, but we'll just sponsor those awards and whatever comes with that. And I told them we're just gonna do it forever and ever. We'll just leave that to us every year. We'll do the trophies and whatever the gift bag looks like. And so I want to try be there for that for the first one.
Right.
I don't know yet because my Samoan brain kicks in and thinks, fuck, what are you trying to be a cool dude for? But you know how some awards are like named after white people, like the Buchanan Award or something, or Granger. I'm just naming off these houses when I was in to meet it. But I was like, you know what? Why can't I do an award like that? The Laulu Award,
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't be for leadership. Maybe for something else, but something like that, and,
why not?
I have to contend with it because I just that's the Samoan and like I really want to be out there, but anyway, bro,
That's humble kicking in there.
yeah, something I wonder if it's that or just fear of what people think, But yeah, man, I guess the last thing I've probably got to acknowledge, there's also called Frankie Winterstein, league player. He's also a more dude. He's doing some great stuff out on their farm up in North New South Wales. And just, in the last few weeks, just been journeying with him to really try and heal, bro, and fix my shit, like just really try and excavate a lot of this bullcrap that's going, I think I'm alright, but I really, if I want to do these projects properly and turn up as a dad and as a partner and whatever else, bro, like, we talk about mental health a little bit, but, I need to check everything, bro. Is my anger straight, I feel like I'm alright. In other different parts of my life, why do I intuitively think that of other people? Why do I gravitate to this and make these dumb decisions year after year, so yeah, bro, those was helping me out with trying to, help me through some of that, a bit of breath work, got a bit of a morning routine, like it's 5:45, wake up and cold showers and lemon water and like journaling, dear diary, all these things I'm not used to, but bro, it's paying dividends, bro.
I've learned writing really helps, especially journal writing, like for random occasions, like I had a guest on who's a playwright, right? And one of his tricks of the trade is to write at random times how he's feeling. Like he might be stuck in traffic, and he gets his phone and writes how he's feeling, and then he ends up with all these different things he's written down, just randomly over a course of 6 months. And then because he's a playwright, when he's writing a new play, all the ideas come from these things. Remembers how he felt, and then he can put those feelings into the story, like and it's like, wow, that makes sense.
Yeah,
like
right.
It's a write every day kind of thing.
Yeah, man. That obviously hasn't been too long, but definitely something that I'm proud of. The last little while, bro, just trying to be upstanding, godly man. Whatever that looks like. That's what I'm trying to aim for, bro. Again, bro. Who am I, bro? I'm just grateful that I'm alive, man. But I think as you, for what I've chosen in life, I really gotta. It's so easy to hide behind the success of the thing that you created, So people have mentioned, digital discipline's going so well and cheap books use, they are. But that's not who I am, because I could create that and still be a shit person, and you look at, I'm not a celebrity, but you look at some of them, all the success and fame in the world with, acting and singing, and then you see them fall apart at 50 years old, marriages are gone, or their mental health shit, or whatever. So I'm just trying to fix it, as sort of rounding off the year, and hopefully, be set mentally and emotionally for a new set of challenges next year.
You just reminded me of something I heard that's probably always go back to, like, when it comes to like being okay with yourself, like, let's always start from look after yourself first and foremost.
Yeah. Because
if you're not good, then how can you be good to anyone else? Like, your health is the most important thing. Because if you can't move forward, then how's that any good to your family? Because your family's next, right? Yourself, your family, and friends, then the community. Throw in that order, and things will be fine.
Yeah, bro. It is. It's confronting, bro. Because I think a lot of us, some of our reputation is tied into just, I don't know, it might be the dude that just can go on a bender. Like, is that exactly what you want to be known for? If it is, great, bro. Then like go hard. But I think these vices, are what they're called. Like, sometimes we are even secretly proud that that's how we are, But is it sustainable? Is it good for kids? Not sure. That's kind of why I can't answer you directly, but that's definitely the wee journey I'm on to kind of round off the year, bro. It's just making sure. I think we all know an uncle or auntie or family member that just has always been the angry one, or always the one that can't stop gambling, and it's one of those things that I just don't want to, those little vices, I don't want to keep carrying on certain parts of me, they got to die now, because, again, my boys are getting old, and just evolving to the man I ought to be. Some of the shit has to go, and build some new routines, so... that lemon drinking in the mornings. The hell am I doing? Again, should I go hug a tree after this? Nah. It's nah. Gotta give it a shot,
Oh, you do well, bro. You do well.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, man.
Appreciate your time, man.
Always a pleasure to have you.
Man. Always a pleasure to be here with you.
And you gotta make it a yearly thing, because next time you come on, we've done a lot of things. Catch up again.
Nah, bro, we'll do one in Savati, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Nah, thank you.
Okay.